Live from Studio 5 in New York City, this is the News at 6.
Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Christina Park in for Ernie Anastas tonight. So many parents want for their children what they missed out on life. If you have a fear of water, maybe you want your kids to be great swimmers. Or if you're overweight, maybe you want your kids to embrace a healthier lifestyle. But how does that really work? Arthur Chien explains how it's actually pretty simple.
I guess the best way to ask this is, what do you do as a parent? Do you wear a helmet when you're with your kid? Put on a seatbelt, especially when they're in the car, or tell them they have to learn to swim when you can't. The experts call it social learning, and many parents are aware their kids are absorbing from early on.
Your kids watch you, they do as you do. If you tell them not to do something, you do the same thing. It's more important to lead by example.
Sitting with her daughter Nora, Ivana tells us it's not just about the parents. Nora started taking cues from her older sister. At what age did Nora start following her sister, you think?
Oh, maybe 2.
That young, yeah. 2 years?
Yeah, it's amazing what they see and how they scan the situation, and she follows.
Children are noticing these things and observing these things earlier than we think. Research tells us that they may start to develop an awareness around this at around 18 months.
Mandy Silverman is a clinical psychologist at the Child Mind Institute, and she says if parents don't lead by example, children will push back.
I think it may just come down to some increased minor conflict or even confusion for the children if they're seeing that their parents want them to engage in certain behaviors, but their parents may not be doing that same thing.
Whether it's always crossing the street at the crosswalk and with the light, or eating healthy with your child, the good habits are easier learned by example. Anna Divney, for instance, doesn't like being in the water herself, but on this day wants her daughter Lydia to learn to swim.
I want to be comfortable in the water myself. I didn't love putting my face in the water. I didn't like going underwater myself, so it's important for me that I show her, and I just overcome that myself, and I show her that I can do it, and then she'll be comfortable doing it.
But even the experts remind us that what we are talking about here is about guidelines, and not being able to follow it all the time isn't just human, but it isn't something that can't be overcome.
Life is it moves pretty fast and things are pretty dynamic. So if there are times where they find that that's happening, it's not something to be particularly panicked about, but it's important to remember the general concept that environment is very, very important with behavior, and parents are a big part of that environment for children.
An easier environment for kids to absorb when the parents are on board too. Arthur Chien for Fox 5 News.
Well, here to help us with our parenting worries is psychotherapist Miki. Miki, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Christine.
All right, so what do you make of all of this? Do as they say, not as I do.
Well, parenting is a very difficult task, and it's not something that we come with a book or a guide and know it all.
It's 24/7.
Absolutely. So, it's important. Parenting, do as I say, not as I do, is very important in what we teach children. Children learn through modeling and watching those that they love and trust the most, which would be parents and their families. And so it's very important that what we do is taken in by children and that we're consistent.
All right, so I love what you said. It's important what we do and that it's consistent. But as parents, we make a lot of mistakes.
Right.
How do you recover from that?
Well, mistakes are natural and they're normal. We're human beings, and human error is always there. But one of the things that's very important in that particular situation is to be honest. Be honest, acknowledge, and deal with what happened. If a child comes to you and says, "Mommy, Daddy, how come I'm doing this? You're telling me to do this, but you're not doing it." It's important to clarify. It's important to acknowledge a child's comment and then move on and show them what the reason for what's going on is, and to set up a good value system.
All right, that demystifies it a little bit, because in real life examples say we want to eat cookies, but we want our kids to eat carrot sticks.
Right.
Or we're on our phones constantly, but we're telling them to lay off the electronic devices. What do we do about that?
Well, again, it's important to be able to maintain consistency when we can, but be real, because life is real. And when telling children what they're going to do, at least what goes on in front of them, you should try to be as consistent as you can. But when something goes wrong, clarify why it went wrong. Mommy's on her laptop because she's doing work. Parents go to sleep later because we're doing something. Have an explanation for a child to understand that it's not because it's wrong or they're doing something. this is why a parent is doing what they're doing. Give them a reason.
Hopefully we've instilled the right values so they know whether to pick and choose, because I know growing up we often saw our parents do things and we said, I am never going to do that or be like mom or dad. So they kind of pick and choose what they want to emulate sometimes. Is that true?
Children have their own personalities and temperament, and also we need to take into consideration, Christine, cultural values, our environment. Those also play important factors in a child's upbringing. But yeah, children do pick and choose later in life, but the core of their value system is their parents, and it is their family, and that's very important to instill.
I love that you said that. It's all about family, and also it can backfire if you're too perfect, because then they don't see you as a human being, right?
Right. It's okay for children to learn mistakes are all right, because that is part of life, and we do make mistakes. So it's about a balance. It's maintaining a balance of values, honesty, respect, and having an ongoing process for your child to feel comfortable in within their home and in their life.
All right, as long as you love them and you're open, honest, authentic, and communicate.
Absolutely.
I love that. I'm going to take away that message.
Great.
Dr. Miki Mikrillos, thank you so much.
Thank you, Christine.
My
pleasure.
Up next, the rise of social media has created another monster. You know this one, the spoiler. But Google feels your pain. Matt King takes a look at the newest idea sparing you from people ruining shows you haven't even watched yet. And join us tomorrow for an important look at airline safety. Who's in the cockpit? What's being done to make sure the people we trust to fly our planes have our safety in mind?